Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a book haul. I have quite a few books to show all of you, but I just want to say I actually have accumulated a lot more books that I'm actually able to show you in this video, but some of them I can't share yet because they're going to be part of the video series that I'm doing where I compare a bunch of different book editions. I'm so excited to kick that series off. I'm just still waiting on some books to come in. Also, it's very pricey to do this video series because I have to order a lot of different books. But anyway, that is coming very soon. So I'm not going to be sharing those particular books in this book haul, but jumping into books I can show you. First up, we have Dream Dark Blackbringer. Am I the only person who had no idea that Laini Taylor had also written this series? I found this at my local used bookstore. They had this copy and they had it as a hardback, and it was only $5. I don't know much about it. I looked up it's fairies and I looked up reviews and everybody's like, this is really good. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to see early Laini Taylor fantasy writing, and I'm so excited that I found this. It seems like the second one isn't the easiest to get your hands on, but if I like it, I'm gonna have to search for that one too. Next up, we have a book that's kind of an anticipated release of mine, and that would be Small Favors. It has a sticker on it, and it's doing that thing where it leaves the residue from the sticker, so for now I'm leaving it on. I read the book House of Salt and Sorrows by this same author and thought it was so much fun. It's a YA fantasy horror story, and it's a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, but creepy. And I had never seen anything about 12 Dancing Princesses. A bunch of you told me there's a Barbie movie for it. This particular one, Bridget Kemmerer, it says unique, enchanting, and haunting at the top, which I'm like, it looks like such a beautiful cover. Is it also gonna get creepy? Either way, I'm super excited about it. I had such a good time with House of Salt and Sorrows that I was gonna be interested in whatever else this author put out, and now we've got it. Also, just because I always like being surprised at finding things on the naked hardbacks, if you move the sleeve, there's a bunch of little bees on the spine. I thought it was such a pretty spine. Such a nice little surprise. Next up, we have She Who Became the Sun. This is an adult fantasy story that is taking kind of real history and mixing it with fantasy. So it's like historical fantasy from what I understand. I've seen essentially nothing but fantastic things about this one. I also had a friend just read it and she enjoyed it, but Joshana, if you haven't checked out Joshana's channel, check it out. She's great. But she and I don't always have the same taste, and she knows that I really like political fantasy, and she was like, I think that you're really gonna like it. And she already liked it, and so I'm excited. I think that I probably will really like it. In the brief synopsis at the top, it says, in a famine-stricken village on a dusty yellow plain, two children are given two fates, a boy, greatness, a girl, nothingness. I guess there's a lot of commentary too on culture and the roles within a certain kind of society, and our main character who so badly wants to fit within a certain role, but society kind of tells them they can't because it's a woman. Anyway, I'm super excited. I'm excited for all the political stuff as well, and I hear it's kind of a military fantasy also, so I can't wait. Next up, we have Never Die. This is a story that my friend Jessie May and I'll have her channel linked down below. We have a whole list of buddy reads that we've been going to pick up. We originally were planning one per month, but Jessie, if you don't know, had a little baby, and then also she is not only getting used to mom life, but now she's getting used to mom life and going back to work. So as far as the buddy reads go, because we were hoping to do live shows when we could, we're hoping to do a live show at the end of September and do it like a wrap-up style where we talk about quite a few of the buddy read books from this year, and then we'll probably do the same thing again or a couple more times before the end of the year, so that way we can get through all of our thoughts for all of the buddy read books. But anyway, Never Die is one of the books. That's it. That's all it really comes down to. But it says on the back cover, time is up for the Emperor of 10 Kings, and it falls to a murdered 8-year-old boy to render the judgment of a god. Next up, we have a couple of nonfiction books. We have The Cubans, and then kind of the full title says The Cubans, Ordinary Lives in Extraordinary Times. And I've mentioned here and there on my channel, I'm half Cuban. My grandparents are from Cuba, but I would love to learn more about Cuba. And also there's a lot that's been going on in the news, or a lot that we've been seeing in the news recently about things going on in Cuba. And I just want to have a better understanding of the country, a better understanding of the political situation and the things that the people there have to overcome, have to deal with, have to live through. I just want to know more about it. My own family members, my grandparents, they both met each other in America, but they came to America at different times. My grandma was a little younger when she came to America. My grandpa was a little bit older. Both quite young, though. But both of them do not really talk about Cuba. They don't really talk about the things that happened to them or what they saw or what they experienced or what life was like. They're very secretive, both of them. So in general, my Cuban side of the family, nobody really talks about things. They're very secretive. So it's strange because I feel like a lot of people, if they have family members that have those connections, can just ask their family members. That's not really, at least in my case, it's not that easy. I don't think it's easy for them to talk about it. So I'm very curious for anyone else who's Cuban, has Cuban family members, if they've experienced something similar or if it's just my family. I remember someone I knew in college, they had family members from Cuba also, and they said it was very similar for them. But I would love to know if that's something that you've experienced as well. Anyway, this book is one that I saw on Instagram. Some people who made lists of books to check out if you want to learn more about Cuba, and this was one of the ones listed. It was the only one I could find when I went to the bookstore, and so I picked it up and hopefully can get around to it at some point. The other nonfiction would be The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, that discusses Indigenous peoples, Native Americans, and also, I'm part Native American and don't know a whole lot about that. I'm part Native American on my father's side, and he passed away. He grew up very poor. He didn't know a whole lot about his own family, and it's another thing I would love to learn more just in general, because I think it's important to know, and I want to learn more, and I want to understand these sorts of things. And also, it being a part of my family history as well, I just in general I want to know more about both the Cuba aspect and the one for Native Americans. And this one won the National Book Award, so I'm hoping to dive into this eventually. If I do, it might be one that I sort of take my time with. I find nonfiction, depending on how it's written, sometimes, not to sound extremely privileged, but sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, and it can be very emotional to read about these things, because it's not a fantasy book where you connect to it and then you just are like, well, that's a fantasy story, though it's made up. It's like a lot of times when you're going over the history of things, or you're talking about situations that are facing people right now, you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening now, or there are things happening now that are results of things that happened in the past, or this in general, like this happened to people. Like I said, when I pick it up, I will likely take my time with it, really soak it up, really learn as much as I can from it. If you have any other book recommendations for anything about Cuba or Native Americans, feel free to let me know. They don't have to just be nonfiction also. If you have some that are fiction, whether they be fantasy or something else, I would love to know. Next up, I have The Kingdom of Back. And I already owned The Kingdom of Back, but I had the Book of the Month edition, which I was perfectly content with. But in the buy-sell trade groups that I every now and then check for when I'm looking for certain editions of books for that video series I had mentioned, I occasionally see other things that I'm like, this has nothing to do with the video series. I just want that book. And I wanted this book. This is a edition that has beautiful silver edges. I don't feel like they really look that fancy on camera, but in person they're so pretty. And the color is a little more vibrant. It's a little brighter. And then the inside cover has the tree. And last up for today, at my local used bookstore, I not only found that Laini Taylor book, but I also found Incendiary. It's actually not even used. It's just sometimes my used bookstores also get new copies in, and it was only $11, and I had store credit, so it didn't cost me anything. But either way, my friend Deshauna that I mentioned before, she read this and she enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to read something by this author for a while. I've heard pretty good things about this one. I know there's a sequel out, and in general, I just think it sounds really interesting. I think there's some aspects of it where, I'll just read some of it to you. It says, I am Renata Convita. I have lived 100 stolen lives. Now I live my own. That's it for some books that I've gotten recently. Let me know if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned, or if you have any other book recommendations based off of the books that I mentioned. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.